Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a long overdue video. This is my review of Omori, a game by Omocat, and it is the first game that I completed on my channel, and now one of my all-time favorite games. I'm very happy that it's starting off the series of reviewing the games that we complete on the channel. And like I said, it's the first game that I completed on the channel, and it's also the only game I've completed on this channel, which I don't know if that's just shame on me or if that says something great about the game. I like to think it's a little bit of both. And when I first started playing the game, I really didn't know what to expect. I'd really only seen people talk about it online here and there. I'd seen some pictures of maybe even a couple clips of gameplay. And one person in particular that I followed on Twitter was just raving about it, saying how great it was, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I kind of trusted their opinion, so I decided, I knew I had to play it. I threw it on my list, and eventually I did get around to playing it, and we threw it on the channel. And I'm super glad I did, because it ended up being a phenomenal game, and something that I'm just super, super excited to review. So, let's go right ahead and review it. This is the grading rubric that we're going to be using. I made this up. I'm pretty happy with this so far. I don't think it's perfect, but obviously it will develop over time as we kind of do more of these and kind of change things up. So I'm pretty happy with this. So obviously at the top we got story, and then we got characters, music, graphics. Graphics is also just like art style, price, and then gameplay. Obviously price and gameplay are weighted differently because gameplay is a lot heavier. It's way more important. And price is a lot less heavier because it's not that important. It's kind of a petty way for me to jab it way overpriced the games, but I think it also 5 is kind of perfect too, right? Because you play a perfect game, but it's way overpriced, and maybe a 95 kind of works out. So this is the kind of system we're gonna be using. I'd be happy to hear what you guys think of it because it's kind of funny. Everyone grades games differently, and this is kind of the first time showing it, so I'm interested in what you guys think of it. I'm not changing it unless you guys someone has a good argument. I'm open to changing it, but I would say we should start with the top one here with the story. Alright, fair warning, I will be spoiling in this section, so if you have not played the game yourself, pause, come back. I really recommend that you play this game without knowing anything, but I will be spoiling, so go at your own risk. I really fell in love with the story of this game. I do suppose more accurately I fell in love with the characters, but I think it takes a really great plot to highlight the characters and really show them in their best light. The game starts off really happy, and meeting the whole gang is really wholesome and fun. Everyone's super happy and bright, and the characters seem pretty cool, but definitely at the moment, there isn't too much depth or any story going on in the area. Things in Headspace seem pretty fun and relaxing until you guys go down to Basil's house and Sunny wakes up, and suddenly you are in a dark room with a cold atmosphere and pretty gloomy colors. The difference between these two worlds is shoved into your face, along with some pretty classic signs of a person in a pretty dark place. As you go back to sleep, you can kind of see why the character in the game would prefer and want to go back to the real world, and a lot of the dialogue in the area kind of affirms that with, your comfy bed and dialogue like that. However, even though the character wanted to go back into the game, me as the player, I just wanted to go outside and see what was going on, and why everything was so dark and so bad. You kind of see from your in-game mom that she does confirm the existence of Kel, but at this moment, I just wanted to go out and see him. That was really such a driving thing that kept me pushing through the game. However, we are forced to forget these things as we kind of slip back into Headspace, and we slowly meet ourselves to plot number 1, which is hunting down Basil. I initially took this as sort of a hint for maybe Basil had passed in the real world, and that's why things were so dark. I was wrong, but a little close, I suppose. But they were looking for Basil, and this is kind of the first plot. It was fun, but I think it was mostly fun because of the characters and the dialogue that really pushed it forward. I thought the Headspace characters were really fun and really colorful, and I thought the way that they kind of matched the elements of the real world of Sunny was super, super cool. All these places and these people came from ideas that Sunny had originally seen or, just walked around the town. But the characters were really good. However, I can't credit that to the plot. The plot itself was pretty good, but it seemed pretty repetitive in the sense of, you're looking for Basil, you get to a location, you kind of meet the person who's in charge, and then you either agree with them, figure something out, or you defeat them, and then you kind of move on. And maybe that's my own fault for missing out on certain parts and not exploring as much as I maybe should have, which I definitely regret. I've watched some playthroughs now, and they did a lot better job of exploring. But the plot that I saw, this is how I would definitely have to rate it. After dipping your toe in what we'll call plot 1 for now, you get to go back to the real world and spend some time with none other than Kel, the person who, in terms of personality, changed the least from his past self. It does not take long to run into some familiar faces. However, you can quickly realize that things are not the same as how they were. It would appear now that Omori is the school bully hanging out with a gang of people that you don't seem to recognize too well at first, and they are picking on none other than Basil. You and Kel step in, and after ruthlessly stabbing Aubrey with a knife, just hucked his fucking basketball at her. Oh my god. God, would you stab her? Is that a knife? That's what I'm saying. Hello? You chase her off and help walk Basil home. And then you chase down Aubrey, not to apologize for stabbing her, by the way, but to just chastise her and take Basil's photo book. I thought it was pretty nuts that you just stab Aubrey, and I'm not sure if you can prevent not stabbing her. I think maybe if I had unequipped it before I got into that fight, maybe you don't stab her, but if you are forced to stab her, that is a crazy choice for Sunny. But if that's a choice that I made because I misplayed, then that's a bit more understandable. But, however, in the process of getting the book back and chastising Aubrey after, we learn about plot number 2. And this plot is amazing. We learn that Mari had taken her own life, leaving her friends and family in a pretty horrible state. And pretty quickly, everything starts to make sense between just the way that Omori is acting and, his parents not being able to live in that house and everything like that. One thing I also noticed upon going back and looking at some of the footage is just it's really cool how the color is drained from the world after hearing that. The game does such a great job of using color palettes to really match Sunny's perspective. And I think this is a great example of that. Just the color is drained from everything after hearing and being forced to remember. And it's like Sunny is being forced to remember why he hates it in the real world so much, and that he's beginning to long for headspace again. This side of the plot was constantly fun and interesting. The way that the 3 days are set up allow for new characters and new developments to constantly happen each time you go outside. You never really know what's going to happen every time you leave the door, and I think that's super fun for a player. Watching the story play out as bridges were rebuilt and friendships were restored, it's really awesome to watch, and you feel like you're helping Sunny kind of rebuild his life as you take control of this character. But then more plot twists come, and it turns out that Mari did not kill herself, but instead was accidentally pushed to her death by Sunny during a stressful argument between the two. They'd been, working towards a recital. Mari kind of put a little too much stress on him and was not standing at the right place when Omori pushed her down a flight of stairs. This twist totally came out of nowhere, and it completely changed the message of the story for me. Not completely, but, what was once a story about friendship and reconnection was now a story about forgiveness, both from himself and his friends. And now, with just 1 day left, it's kind of you as a player who must decide if Sunny is going to tell his friends or if he's going to keep this secret on his shoulders and kind of bear this burden by himself. I really wanted Sunny to tell his friends, and I felt for him, the stress of not wanting to do that. If I was in this position, it's hard to say what you would do. Obviously the right choice is to own up to it, but it is certainly easier to keep it on yourself. But also I think the message of the story too is that keeping it on yourself is also worse in a way, and it can make your life harder, at least mentally, right? Because Sunny really struggles, and if you do the Hyokomori route, I'm probably butchering that name, but the route where you do not go out with Kel, you can really kind of unpack that and see that stuff where it's like, even though it's hard to do, and even me personally, it's hard to say what I would do, but the right choice is definitely ending up. Keeping that within just makes it way harder. I am rambling. So, you must decide if you're going to tell or not, but before you can decide, well, it's hard because you don't really make a yes or no choice in game, but you kind of, have to decide which ending you're going to go for. And if that was not enough, they dropped another bomb on us. That Basil was there. Well, he wasn't there, but he pulled up while Mari had died, or shortly after she had died. And he had either helped or convinced Sunny to make it look like Mari had killed herself, and that is why we had originally believed that, because all the other characters had thought that. Which is nuts to me, because that was to me the part where I was like, would a kid do this? This is like really complex and nuts. But, it's a game, of course. Me personally, I did not like this development at first. I think now that I've sat on it a while, I'm a lot better, or I think a lot better of it, because at first I was just like, this is ridiculous. It was a little too crazy, but sitting back, I like the idea that it tries to push of, Omori really pushed Basil away after that, and that's the hardest person that you need to get the forgiveness from, is the person who kind of knew all along, and he kind of took a bullet for you, and in response, Sunny kind of shut him out and screwed him over. But also, you could kind of see why, and Basil did commit a crime too, so it's hard to say. I thought the story alone was amazing, and I really, like I said before, was one of the main things pushing me forward. I think if they made an Omori TV show or an anime, it would do well if it was done well. Seriously, the story is so well done. It's super complex, and all the characters really have a great point into the story, and it's just awesome. The only thing I'm probably going to dock points on for is the Headspace plot. I thought the Headspace plot, like I said, was just okay. However, it can't be understated how important the Headspace plot is for the real world plot, because the real world plot and the Headspace plot really contrast each other, and they contrast each other so well, and they make each other stand out in the most important ways. Headspace is this light and happy area where it's kind of a break from the stress and the tense awkwardness of the real world, and that's kind of like, the message of the game, right? As Omori and Sunny both like to run away to this headspace. But the only thing I would have to dock points off for is the headspace stuff. It is really important and can't be understated how important just the contrast between the headspace and the real world. I feel like the real world wouldn't be so hard-hitting and have as much gravity if you didn't have the headspace and the light-hearted happiness of it. But the bottom line was, I did think it was lacking in some ways. So total, I'm going to give the section a 13 out of 15, dropping a little for the headspace, but the real-world plot, straight up a 15 out of 15. I think they could literally make a TV show or an anime out of this part. Alright, I can't lie. I'm excited to talk about the characters, because I think the characters are honestly at the forefront of this game's strengths. They're honestly pretty flawless in my opinion. Each character in this game is distinct. They have a place in the story. You kind of get your main cast, which is Hiro, Kel, and Omori, and I think they're really amazing. You get to learn their dynamic really quickly and easily. They bounce off each other really well, and they're all really different, which is important. I think they all play a different role. And not only that, but their role as a friend group really influenced their class in-game as well. Aubrey's kind of rough and tough, and she ends up being the team DPS, which is super cool. Hiro is like the calm and kind older sibling type figure, and he plays the healer with his really good cooking skills. He will chef people up, little bites to eat during the fight, and that'll heal them up. And then Kel and Sunny are a little bit more confusing. Kel is really loud, and I like to say he's loud and proud, and I think that's pretty perfect for an AoE machine, which is definitely the role that he fills, being an AoE type guy. And Omori and Sunny being the most confusing. I wouldn't really say for sure what he is, because he kind of plays a little bit of all the roles, and maybe that's what he is. He's kind of like that rogue, kind of does everything, but he's also like that raid leader type, telling everyone what to do. It's hard to really categorize him, but I think Aubrey, Hiro, and Kel really fit that super well. Their personalities are very obvious, direct influences on their classes, which I really like. And it even makes gameplay more intuitive as well, too, because they're doing things that their characters would do. It makes a lot of sense. The way they all have just different motivations, and they react to the same situations super differently in ways that are true to their character, it's super well done. Obviously, there's one core event that affected all of them, and it affected them just all in different ways, and it's cool to see the different ways, the way that they cope and the way that they kind of go through it. You really start to root for them, and you want to see them reconnect, because it's constantly kind of thrown in your face how happy they used to be in Headspace. You want them to kind of go back to that, because you know how happy they were when they were like that. Seeing Kel for the first time when all you've known was his small little blue Headspace version of him, it's such a wake-up call, the way it pans up, and he's just this tall. He's really older, and I think he's the character that looks the most different out of the three, and I think that's obviously Aubrey, but for different reasons. Her hair's a totally different color. But Kel, he looks just naturally the most different, right? He actually, puberty hit him. The puberty stick hit him hard. So seeing him for the first time, you really get that wake-up call of like, oh, you know, these are the same people, but they're also not the same people. It's been a lot of time. You can see that on Kel, which I like. And honestly, like I said, I mentioned Aubrey. Seeing Aubrey is even more of a wake-up call. She just, you know, Kel is the physical wake-up call, whereas Aubrey's the like emotional like wake-up call, where, you know, Kel looks different, Aubrey acts different, and that is a wake-up call in its own. It's made very clear right off the beginning that these are not the same kids that you know from Headspace, and you slowly reconnect and become familiar with these, you know, almost new characters. Basil is another solid character. However, I didn't really find him to be that realistic at times, and I found him to be kind of whiny. Maybe that's just like me being me, but like I'm sure, I don't know. I didn't find him being that realistic. I didn't like some situations that the game put him in, kind of the way that he reacted to some of those situations. But like I said, he was a kid, and he kind of witnessed some tough stuff. So I can't judge him for how he acted. I really loved Aubrey's little gang, like literally all of them, to the point where like I wanted them to be friends with our group, and I think they even had a line towards the end where like Aubrey was like, you know, can my friends come too? And Hero was like, hell yeah. It's awesome because, you know, obviously Aubrey spent time away from them, and that time definitely still mattered. I'm not gonna start gushing, but the way that she still keeps that connection with her friends and values it, and I would love to see in like some DLC or something like that. I would love a DLC of just like a 3-year time skip. I want to see just like where they're at and maybe how those friendships have either strengthened and, you know, changed. Mari's character was pretty awesome. However, it's kind of weird because you don't really get to meet Mari. You just kind of get you get Omori's perception of Mari. Gosh, maybe that in itself is a spoiler. I apologize. Tread lightly. But despite not really, you know, getting to know the real her, I have so much love for her. You know, I think it's a lot of just like this headcanon of like, you see these pictures in game, or you see pictures that Omocat posts amazing pictures on Twitter of just like the gang and shit. So you kind of make your own headcanons of like, yeah, this is how they act. And she did act the way that Omori remembers her. It's just, I don't know if I trust everything. I feel like there's some slight differences, and I think the game kind of tries to show you that too. I really enjoyed the Bready Steady twins. The Maverick was definitely one of my favorites. Man, I want to say I like them, but I can't remember their names. How much do I really like them? But I really liked Aubrey's main friend. I want to say it was Vince or Vance. Man, but also, oh no, Kim. It was Kim and Vance, right? And Kim was the short one, I believe. Eesh. Like Smelly Hobo. I always made sure I gave Smelly Hobo a couple $. But Headspace is where the character is clear for sure. I love Space Boyfriend. I even like Humphrey to an extent. I love oh man. See, I say I love them, but I can't remember their name. The Prince, the way they kind of bounce off each other is so good. Oh, how could I forget my main man, Pluto, the Giga Chad? I loved Pluto's arc, man. And the way he becomes your fast travel service is a great way to keep him around. His music, so good. But Pluto himself, man, just going from, you know, and it's kind of a different take of why Pluto is not a planet. You know, he lived on his own accord. It's goofy and fun. I like it. It's hard not to say, you know, too much with these characters because it's really easy to spoil, but they are fantastic, and the dialogue and just the interactions, they're great, and they, again, motivated me when, you know, maybe some of the gameplay aspects really kind of kept dragging. The characters, the dialogue, it made it fun, it made it funny. When the boss fights were maybe repetitive, the dialogue was not, and that made it super, super fun. Oh, and not to mention, I'm jumping all over the place, but the way the Headspace characters reflect things in the real world is freaking genius, because it also amplifies the idea that, you know, Headspace is obviously a headspace that Sunny creates. Nothing is original there. It's all made up. It's all from the real world. You know, the sharks are from his video game. Space Boyfriend is in the comic book store. The princess is in the dairy shop or whatever it was, the sweet shop. It's so smart, and it's so smart not only because it's enjoyable for the player, but then the devs, it's easier because you don't have to make all these extra characters. You can recycle things in a way that's creative and fun for the dev and the player. It's too good. It's too good. All this combined, Omori characters are going to get an easy 15 from me. This is the easiest 15 that could ever be a 15. Alright, I thought I was excited to talk about the characters, and I was, but now I'm starting to talk about the music, and I'm realizing what the real excitement is, because the music in Omori is good. From boss music to grocery store themes to songs that literally represent the feeling of drowning. Pedro Silva, Jamie Lin, and Bowen, hopefully I pronounced all those names correctly. They are some talented people, and these three did a really, really good job of this. Some of my favorite songs off the top of my head, if any of you guys know the songs, I love White Surf Style 6, Gold Vengeance, Hanging with the Boys, World's End Valentine, Brace Steady Go, and that's just a short list. My favorite song, Total, Forest Frenzy, it is so goddamn good. Listen to this shit. That one was by Pedro Silva. Wonderful human being. And even just deciding which ones to name was so difficult. I left out so many good ones, and I'm sure people are screaming to themselves, and you know what, you're right, I missed some great ones. And there's just a lot of great music in this game. I do dock a single point because I do think there are a couple songs that are just not, they're just okay, and that's just how it is. I think when you put, there's so many songs in this game, when you put so many songs, not everything's going to be perfect, but there are just some goddamn great songs. My only gripe would be like, man, okay, I'm gonna throw some random numbers out, but there's like 60 songs on the track, there's like 30 of them that are fucking bangers, and some of just like the battle themes are just not the bangers. And it's like, we have so many bangers, why are we not using the bangers on the battle themes? So that's probably why I docked 1 point. But other than that, dude, music in this game is nuts. These three they just did so well. Alright, fair warning for the graphics, I am biased. Not only do I love pixel art, I do it myself, so when I see someone who's obviously way better at it, which is everyone, it's hard for me to not appreciate it. However, to defend myself, I will say that a lot of my compliments towards the graphics and art style are not even about the pixel art itself, but a lot about the drawn art, because the drawn art actually shits on the pixel art in this game, and the pixel art is fucking amazing, so that shows you how high the bar is. When I first saw a lot of the characters, I kind of thought it was creepy, they kind of have those like dead eyes, especially the Headspace characters. They have like those, have you ever seen that new movie Caroline about the dolls? They have those weird creepy eyes. And it is still now creepy, and I think that's intentional, but it's really growing on me. It's something I've come to love. I love the Headspace eyes, and I love the real world eyes too, and it's something how you can really tell them apart. I'm also a little biased because I played the game because of the art style, honestly. Like I said, I am a sucker for the pixel art stuff, so when I saw it online, I was kind of like, oh, that's it. That's what I want. I do think the character models are a little too small, but I think that might be, that's more of a choice that the devs made and the art stylists made, so they like that. They wanted to go for the small thing, and maybe they're trying to replicate, maybe an old school type of feel. But I would have loved to see, especially like Headspace Aubrey or not Headspace, but the real world Aubrey and a couple other characters, like just seeing more details on them, because their pictures were super cool and detailed, with the purple head or the blue headband for Aubrey, and like seeing like maybe Headspace Kel a little bit bigger would have been cool too, because he had that really cool checkered shirt. So stuff like that would have been, I definitely would have appreciated. If someone wasn't really into the pixel art style and they kind of preferred a more realistic take, I could definitely see how they wouldn't really like the graphics that much, or at least the gameplay part of it. However, undeniably good is all of the hand-drawn art in this game, and there is a lot of it. The character sprites, the pictures, the boss pictures, like the way the bosses look, a lot of the pictures that Basil took, everything, all of those hand-drawn stuff is so amazing. Even the animations, it looks so freaking good. Speaking of Basil's pictures, I really think this is where the art in this game hits its stride and is really at its best. Seeing the pictures, I mean, of course it's when it happens in game 2, it has a bit of an emotional punch, but it really just seals how these characters, you get to see a peek into their life, and with a good art style, I think is so important for that, because if the art didn't look good, it wouldn't hit as well, but it is amazing art, and when you see it and you can see the characters doing just normal things and having fun, it really hits in an awesome way. I gotta give this one a 15 for just design, just effort put into it, the thought, the cleverness of using headspace things from the real world, it's all just so well done and smart. And I mean, even just the hand-drawn stuff alone, it could be a 15. If you follow OmoCat or the Omori thing on Twitter, maybe even on Instagram, I don't know if they have an Instagram, any of their social medias, they just post this awesome art that makes you expand on your headcanons. And I think OmoCat was an artist beforehand, and she also does a lot of awesome clothing designs too, so she's definitely got the artist blood in her. And it shows. It's super awesome. So easy 15 from me. Not as easy as music, and not as easy. I don't even know if actually I didn't give music a 15, but not as easy as characters. But it's a 15, and it's damn good. I'm not gonna waste your time here. Price is an easy 5. This category isn't that important, like I said. Listen, like I said, I don't make it important. The companies make it important. Okay, this is on them. But the game's $20. I'm pretty sure. At least when I bought it, it was $20. Easy, worth it, super worth it. The way I like to go is I should be able to play it for every $10. That's an hour. So if it's a $60 game, you should give it 6 hours. With a $10 game, maybe an hour. That's totally objective, and that's not even how I'm judging this. But that's just my nonsense for how I usually play games. I feel like, I buy a game for $60, I play for 6 hours, I got my money's worth. That shitty Hogwarts game was like $70, I played it for 2 hours. That's on me. But I paid $35 an hour for that shit, so that's not worth it. That's kind of how I like to go by. But I'm rambling. 5, easy 5 for the price. This is the one. This is where I gotta say bad things about a game I love, and it hurts. But I am not here to lie to nobody. Despite a fantastic story, where Omori really struggled for me was the gameplay. For me, I found the battle system to just be pretty repetitive and kind of straightforward. I like the idea of kind of implementing again the plot to it with the emotion charts. I thought that was cool, and I thought that was different. But I mean, it's only different to an extent. At the end of the day, you're kind of just playing rock, paper, scissors, and in a world where Pokemon does that so much better, it was hard to really get into the rock, paper, scissors style of battling. The other part of the gameplay, I suppose, would be exploring, and that didn't get me too juiced either. I didn't really... When I was going to look for new areas, it was for dialogue and characters. It wasn't for items, it wasn't for the loot, because it didn't really do much. Maybe it would be a stat boost here, or, maybe some damage increase over there. But, you were really exploring for the dialogue, for the characters. Not, just for some little buff that might apply in a fight that didn't really matter. The fights weren't that difficult. Combat for me very quickly became an excuse to listen to the very good music that the game had, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy grinding for XP personally. There were some bosses towards the end that I found to be a little bit fun, but they just did not compare to the greatness that was, just some of the character dialogue and some of the just plot stuff that would happen outside and meeting people for the first time. That was really what was enjoyable to me, but it was not so much the combat or even really the exploration. Now, I haven't gone too deep in some of the harder bosses, like, Perfect Heart, and I'm sure there's some other guys I'm not thinking of. Oh, like Space Boyfriend, I did the regular one, but not the super hard one. So I can't speak on that, and I'm sure people really enjoy it. I'm sure there's people who really enjoy the combat of this game, and all to you. I respect it. I thought there were some great ideas in it. Me personally, I found it a little bit repetitive, and I did not find it to be that, I guess, difficult, or there weren't really that many outlets for creative, I guess, like, there wasn't too many different things you were doing, right? A attacks, then B attacks, then C attacks, then D attacks, and maybe you weave in some healing, maybe you weave in some ultimate rushes, but even then, a lot of those ultimate combos are really OP, especially the one that you had to save up 10 for, and you get the special cutscene for it. That one was gross. However, I must say, there is more to exploring than just the loot around. Like I said, dialogue was good. Even just looking at the map was awesome, finding new areas, seeing new colors. Even on my playthrough, there were, I think, 2 areas I just completely missed, which is honestly a crime. I have seen them now watching other people play it, and they look like awesome zones, but it's just crazy. how, you know, if you don't explore, and you like I said, I wasn't enjoying it, so I didn't explore very well, and that's on me, because if you had gone through that more exploration and gone the extra mile, your experience would be much more enjoyable. So maybe that's partially why I didn't have so much of a great time. I did, however, find the Pokemon-style HMs to be so annoying. Kel has like this throw ability that you need to use to get in certain areas. Omori has his knife, obviously, to stab things down and just cut things out the way. I forgot what Hero's was, actually, and I forget what Aubrey's was, too. I think Aubrey was super strong, so she would push things. Damn, I don't remember what Hero's was either, though. I think Hero had, like, a way with people. Did he, like, convince people to do stuff? Regardless, they all had their own, like, little thing, which I guess was cool. But at the end of the day, all it really did was it made it so you would come up against an obstacle that was very clearly, you know, obviously, either Aubrey has to do this or Kel has to do this. You swap them out, you do the thing, and you're done. It felt more like a chore than a real puzzle. But to name a positive, I did enjoy Hangman. Hangman was awesome. I thought, you know, even just playing the game was fun, and then the way that you have to go look for the different parts, it added just an extra element to it. So, you know, it's cool. It's just a simple game of Hangman, but it adds to your exploration a lot, which I thought was fun. And I must certainly give credit to the, again, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Hikiomori, the alternate route in the game. I love games with alternate routes, especially ones that are kind of like have some meat to them, and you know, you can really see an alternate path of what would have happened, and that is a complete alternate path. Granted, it's a little bit shorter, but there are some crazy messed up things, and I'm unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna have any gameplay of it because I did not do it personally on my playthrough, but I've seen people do it. It's fucked up and it's awesome. Really, really cool stuff. So, I think Omori is the weakest point. I think gameplay is Omori's weakest point. So, I'm going to give it a 23 out of 35. Docking points, mostly for the really weak combat and just kind of the weaker exploration, and not just a lot of me just like not enjoying the stuff that was outside of the plot. However, I gotta give it credit for the awesome alternate route. I gotta give it credit for the definitely difficult boss battles towards the end, and just the awesome environment and the atmosphere of the area, which definitely concludes the gameplay. Those things were awesome, so I gotta give it a 23 out of 35. Definitely docking some points off for some of the boring parts. So, when you total all of that up, you get an 85 out of 100, and that is my mountain score. Maybe you love it, maybe you hate it, maybe you don't give a shit. I would love to hear your guys' opinions, and I would love to hear both how you would rate this game, how you would rate games in general, but also how you would rate the game in using my scale and breaking it up in these categories. I would be super interested, because that would kind of be like a direct way I could compare it to mine, and I would love to see how wrong you guys are compared to mine, because mine is objectively right. Everything I do here will be objectively right, so get fucking used to it. I am certainly permanently a fan of Omocat. If they do anything else or make any games, I am on it. I've actually bought a lot of their clothes, and they did a collaboration with Pokemon, which I conveniently mentioned a couple times in this review. And I have the pink one, the Sylveon one. It looks freaking sick. So a lot of Omocat stuff is really awesome. I love the clothes. I love the games. I am a fan for sure. The game does a great job of just hitting you in the core. It makes you feel the highs, it makes you feel the lows, and not many games make you feel for the characters like this one. At least it did for me. If you are interested in playing this game and you haven't, I'm sorry, you should not have watched this video. But if you did, if you are gonna play it, you definitely still should. There's so much that I didn't even experience in this game, so I can't spoil things I didn't experience, right? So there's so much for you to find still. I would certainly recommend it to anyone who hasn't played it yet. I do want to put that kind of in all the videos. It's getting the thumbs up for the seal of recommendation here. Will certainly say though, it is not for everyone, and some people will not enjoy the game. It's slow and it's very narrative focused, and some people won't even like the narrative. They want to enjoy the kind of message it's put in. You know, it'll be kind of maybe too slow. Some people like action stuff, so it's not for everyone. Take a peek, kind of see it, but I think the people that will like it are really gonna love it. To quote the great Bochi the Rock, you know, not many people may love it, but the people who do, it will connect with them very deeply. And I do think many people can love this game. It's a great game. So that's gonna wrap up my first review of, you know, a game. And I kind of want to make this a series for all the games I complete on the channel. And I'm not 100% happy with how everything turned out, but it's my first time, and eventually I just gotta send it out and stop fucking over worrying about making sure certain things sound right or whatever, because nothing I do is gonna sound right. It's a mess. So hopefully you guys enjoy watching the mess and everything like that. It's both awesome and weird that, you know, this is my first one, because this is a game I really love and I would love to do it justice, and I'm definitely not going to with my first review, because just a lot of nerves, and I've said like a bajillion times, and just stuff like that. That's, you know, practice makes perfect, right? But I think I am glad that this is the first one, because it's a great one to start off with and pretty awesome. So if you guys appreciated this video, then I appreciate you. If you didn't appreciate the video, I still appreciate you. If you enjoyed, all I ask is that you continue to watch some more, and I hope that you guys have a great day. I'm reading my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, no, that's true. That's it. We're done. We can wrap. This is the video. Oh, wait. You know, I want to say also, I have never worked this hard on a video, literally ever. I fucking downloaded an editing software, which is pathetic. I should be editing my other videos, too. But I even tried to, and I felt like it just made it worse, because I just talk all the time, and there is downtime when I don't talk, or I say dumb shit, but I'm rambling. Anyways, I worked really hard on this video, so I just appreciate that you guys are watching this, because every view makes me feel fucking cool. You know, it makes me feel good. Yeah, especially the ones I work hard on. So I really appreciate the shit out of you guys, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos, because I'm really enjoying making them. So thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. And I'm stalling because I don't want to end. I should just end. Goodbye.